I mean, there's just, I don't know, there's just no independent objective thinking with these media publications anymore. Is anyone optimistic on the outlook for what Huawei's phone business is going to do? As predictable, the sun will rise in the morning and then set around 7 o'clock. It's going to happen. This article here, October 10th, thanks to Trump, China's Huawei is dying. We've talked about Huawei many times on the show and how, again, you had a lot of these journalists that would say, oh, well, Huawei is going to be okay. You know, if I did this Google, look, Huawei Mate 2019 sales. Look at the topics of the headlines. Huawei has already sold 1 million Mate 30s before international sales begin, September 30th, 2019. Very positive, right? Huawei phones are still red hot in China, but the Google app ban is hurting sales overseas. Huawei says it can sell 20 million Mate phones without Google's help. Huawei sales accelerate as it shifts 200 million smartphones. Shifts or ships? I don't know. Is that a typo? In 2019. Huawei shipped over 240 million phones in 2019. I mean, there's just, I don't know, there's just no independent objective thinking with these media publications anymore. When you want to really look at the situation and say, oh, well, what is Huawei's phone business optimistic? You know, is anyone optimistic on the outlook for what Huawei's phone business is going to do? I wouldn't be. Any reasonable person who's actually following what that Huawei ban did, where they couldn't use Android. I mean, you can't use Android. How do you have a smartphone business where you can't use the only operating system available to make phones, right? You can't use iOS, that's Apple's. It's literally just Android. You can't use Android. Why would you ever have an optimistic, upbeat title when talking about this company's phone business that can't use Android? Right? Like, why would you ever do that? From that article that I was just showing, that China's Huawei is dying. Again, let's be clear. Huawei's primary business is telecom infrastructure. It's those big, the big cell phone towers, the 5G infrastructure. That's their primary business. That is the thing where, when you talk about kind of the Huawei ban, why the Huawei ban was so pertinent was because they were actually installing the towers and the infrastructure, and then they can eavesdrop into everything that's going through their infrastructure. Surprise, surprise. The phone business was just kind of like a side business that they spun up and started to become a real business. But anyway, this recent article from just October of 2020 says sales estimates reflect the exhaustion of inventory. Huawei has estimated it will ship 50 million handsets next year. That is down from both the 190 million sets analysts had originally predicted for the year and the 240 million sets it sold last year. Was this predictable? Just about as predictable that the sun will rise in the morning and then set around 7 o'clock. It's going to happen. When Huawei gets Android banned from its smartphones, there is no way the business can be viable. We covered this so many times on the show. There is no way Huawei can make their own operating system, even with all of the resources of the Chinese government behind it. Actually, they were trying to do some pretty crafty things. They were trying to put an alliance together amongst the different Chinese smartphone manufacturers. That could have been a real comeback story if they were to get supply, because these Chinese, like ZTE and a couple of the other manufacturers, account for such a large share of the, at least the Android smartphone market in Europe, for example. That if they were to get all the Chinese smartphone manufacturers, I think they would have had well over 50% market share in China, and then you could try and launch your own operating system. It's still a very risky move. You have to go get all these app developers on board, and Huawei has tried to do that too. They were trying to put a fund together to get app developers. Just again, I mean, it's the name of the show, winner take all. You can't have three winners. You have two, iOS and Android, and maybe with all the resources of the Chinese government, with the three largest Chinese smartphone manufacturers in the world, and a big fund, like a multi-billion-dollar fund to incentivize app developers to make their apps work on yet a third operating system? Maybe. And huge losses, by the way, because those smartphone manufacturers are going to have to shut down their whole Android business, right? So it's not like you're just going to have an even swap, right? There's going to be a lot of pain for at least a few years while, consumers want to stick with Android and go to, a Korean smartphone manufacturer, which are very capable smartphone manufacturers. So you got a few decks stacked against you here. Yet, if you're just kind of an unassuming viewer reading through top media journalists' predictions on the rosy outlook for Huawei, man, you would not have seen this coming. When the writing has been on the wall for a long, long time. Hi, this is Alex from Winner Take All. Thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoyed the content. Feel free to leave a comment, ask us questions, and definitely make sure to join us on our next live stream.